After this, also, just to give you a heads up, I will send you guys a recording of it also. And it can, you know, do what you can with it. But yeah, we here just talking our shit pretty much. That's it. So what is good, everybody?
Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Cheers, cheers, cheers. So how's everything? How's everybody's week? How's everything been going on? Like, what's been going on with you guys?
My week's been pretty good. How about you fellas?
Been maintaining. I can't complain. Everything is everything. So, glowing in the glory of my boys graduating this year. So
That is what's up.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
thank you.
definitely. So we just go and jump right into it. There's been pretty much like a lot of news been like we've been talking about like the whole I think you touched on it a couple weeks ago, I believe, Rick, about the what's been going on with the US and Jamaica. They've been pretty much like, I guess, like they're threatening to revoke, I guess, everybody's visas from Jamaica if they didn't, I guess, follow their rules of basically like vote to have same-sex marriages in Jamaica, something like that.
For real. I didn't really get into the big particulars of it. I just heard that when it comes time to renew their visas, they're not going to renew it because they're not complying with something. I didn't know what it was.
Well, that's exactly what it is pretty much. They're saying that like since they're not in compliance, like, they actually Jamaica voted against them basically having same-sex marriages pretty much. They basically don't want it in their country, and the US is basically like, oh well, since you're not, like budging pretty much, like we won't basically renew or revoke everybody's visas who are coming from Jamaica pretty much in like the last, I guess, couple of years. Like even the people I think that are like here right now, if they have visas, they may get revoked because of this, which is kind of like insane. So
Crazy.
yeah, it ain't right.
Leaning towards some old dictatorship type shit.
Yeah, I just think it's, again, I don't know what it is with the US. I think we're extremely conceited. Like, I don't really understand why is it that every time
I'm sorry. Before you don't put me in the we category. I'm just here. Okay. I mean, if you want to say we because we're over here and we had no choice when we over here, and it's kind of like it is what it is, but I don't agree with that at all.
Right.
I'm not with the we.
Well, okay. Well,
I know what you
we
mean.
are here, right? We're here, and again, like I guess they're basically saying, like, again, the US has basically become very conceited, pretty much. Let me word that right.
Very much so.
I'm just trying to understand, like, how come every time when we like certain countries don't want to follow like their guidelines and their rules and their ideologies, pretty much they're like pretty much either like, threatening, like another country somehow. Like this has been going on for centuries, if not, I mean, many years, if I'm not mistaken, with the war in Iraq, the real reason what went on in Afghanistan, the real reason why they murdered Gaddafi. Like it's insane. Like,
well, they've been doing it for years. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's just people are starting to get fed up and starting to say something about it and speak on it. And now there's social media. We can, kind of get the message out there that this is what's being done. It's no longer being done behind closed doors. So it's just like now it's the blinds is coming off of everything. But they've been doing this for years. That's the reason why they feel so comfortable doing it now.
Right.
And to build on what you just said too, it's also easier for the whistleblowers to actually whistleblow and still stay anonymous. So that's easier as well, because like you chimed in on social media, we used to hear about this stuff, or a couple of weeks later we'd hear about this, but now we're seeing and hearing all of this in real time.
Yeah, and it's like right now, it's before it was taboo, now it's like directly in your face. Like it just seems like nobody cares about what they do anymore, like when it comes to humanity overall in general. And I think that like ties into, I mean, like literally everything that's going on right now in terms of like the whole like feminism, transgenderism, it's just everything. And it's like, dude, like I think when I'm looking at, like, nobody necessarily cares about the actual truth, but just feelings. And that's ridiculous in my opinion. Um, I don't even know anymore, to tell you the truth, on like if you say something, you'll get banned in somehow, some way. Like it's like people just want to put like some tape around your mouth and have you just accept what they have, and that's it. Like they don't give a fuck about anything. And that to me, that's ridiculous. They want to control your kids. They want to control, what you watch on television, on down to what you eat, what you wear, how you go to work, what time you come. It's just insane. And it's like, what gives? Like it really does. I'm like, shit. I want to move to another planet if that's the case. Like, I mean, it seems like everywhere we go, you're just not safe because it's always that bullshit. They want to rule everything. It's like divide and conquer pretty much. And
To,
that, to me, I think that's an issue.
to piggyback off of that, it's always been like that, Sean. Once again, it's just that
Yeah.
we're starting to realize it, but it's always been like this type of enslavement where it's like you have limits. Like you can get this far, but as soon as you think you're going to get further, no, you're not. Like this is what I'm going to, this is where you can go. This is where you can't go. So it's always been like that. It's just now that people had enough and people are able to see it. And because we have kids and we're like, you're not going to expose our kids to this. And we're able to see that you're just, no, your kids are going to learn this. If they come to our school, they're going to learn this. If they come to the hospital, they need to get these vaccinations. If they come here, it's just kind of like everything, they make it these rules where you realize you're really not in charge. So I think it's just the realization of, okay, we really are not in charge of anything.
Right. That
Also,
That's just how it goes. So, and it's always been based off of emotions, in my opinion, just because back in the day, people would feel some type of way about, colors, or feel some type of way about people's sexuality. And it was always based off of emotions that they were able to then build. Well, we're going to make a law because we feel this, or we're going to do this because we feel this. So it's always been based off of emotions. It just depends on who it is expressing these emotions that get to, say what it is and what it isn't.
all facts. Makes perfect sense.
the other thing too is when you dare to speak out or to go against the norm, you're ostracized. Case in point, I still always reflect back to this because it's real. What happened with Colin Kaepernick when he was doing his silent protest. And the main thing was him pointing out the hypocrisy that this country represents. This country is always advertising it's the best country in the world. Everybody gets treated fairly and equally. Land of the brave, home of the free. And he was doing the silent protest to pretty much point out that hypocrisy. And what happened? He got blackballed from the NFL.
Yep.
What was the narrative? Do it on your own time. Or he's doing it because he got benched and all of that. It's like, okay, but is what he's saying true or false? Forget the whataboutisms, forget the distractions or deflections. Is what he's saying true or false? Because this country does not live up to the expectations that it, made for itself. And, if you point out the hypocrisy, you're either a traitor or you're told to leave this country. But yet and still, they kind of dragging their knuckles and dragging their feet with the people that actually try to overthrow a democratic process back on January 6th. Those people should automatically be labeled as traitors to the country. But yet and still, they're still dragging that shit out. They just charged Trump the other day for his hand in that. So, America, like you were saying, Sean, is arrogant because it feels everyone needs to conform to our way because our way is the best way. But they can't even take care of their own people.
Nope. Absolutely not. Kind of reminds me of that movie. What was it? They Live. I'm pretty sure you remember that with Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper and Keith David.
Yep.
So
yeah. Like it's just too much. Like, I mean, when it comes to in Trump, like, and it's sad, like some of the things that he's honestly like mentioned, I know most of them are not, they go overboard. Some of the shit he does and says, it kind of makes sense a little bit, but now he's actually being almost blackballed pretty much. Like they want this dude locked up before he even gets to the presidential race. And I believe, like, I don't think he'll ever get locked up, in my opinion, but I just think, overall, it's just like, all right, they're just basically fucking with him, I think, in my opinion. That's all. I know
The motherfucker took top secret documents, and a part of those documents were those nuclear codes.
right.
And they subpoenaed them. They was like, yo, you need to bring that back. And he pretty much told them to go fuck themselves. I'm like, come on, B.
Yeah.
This dude is fucking, what does he need that kind of information for?
Right.
Why don't you just comply and turn it in? You're all about law and order and this, that, and the other, except when it's your turn to be held accountable. You don't want to be held accountable. And then he feeds into the conspiracy theorists as far as to see, I told you, they don't want me. They don't want me out here talking to y'all. They don't want me to show y'all the truth. They don't want me to make America great again. Why do you feel the need to hold on to these documents when they are asking for them back? Just turn them back in, yo.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, yeah, I didn't understand why he had him in his crib anyways, after like he was like pretty much like he lost the presidential race. It just didn't make sense. I don't know. It's just,
and he tried to deflect again, saying Obama got some stuff or blah, blah, blah. And it was like, yeah, but he got clearance to have that stuff. You didn't. So it's crazy.
Definitely. And also, like, did you guys talk about the whole situation between Jess Hilarious? Are you familiar with that, Rick? Yeah, it's a lot of shit that like, I'm a little shocked, but I'm also like not surprised on how like everybody, well, not everybody, I'm gonna say people are actually coming to her aid, but at the same time, like people are just like pissed with her at the same time. And it's like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, I don't get it.
Let's get a real woman's perspective on that situation. If you're familiar with that situation, I want to hear you as a biological woman. How do you feel about this agenda that, and we're not going to say all trans, but this small minority of trans people are pushing, but are getting the most volume on it? How do you feel about that?
I didn't hear you briefly. Did you say about Jess? Was that about what Jess had said? Spoke on?
Yeah.
About transgender and biological women.
So I honestly agree with Jess. Now, I understand that it may sound a little bit harsh on how she presented, the way she presented it. It may seem, I'm just saying, if we're talking about people's emotions,
right,
and this is how we're saying, this is how people, make their decisions off of their emotions. They don't know how to channel their emotions in the correct, path, and kind of focus, like you said, and kind of like it's a lot of distractions. And it's like, listen, at the end of the day, we were marching with you. We were there for you. We said we're here for X, Y, and Z. If you want to do any letter of the alphabet, and not to be disrespectful, I just don't want to missay anything. But we are women, and we didn't ask to be titled as cis women or whatever women. Like, women is what the title is that we're known for and we're comfortable with and we accept. So no one asked, hey, can we change your name? Can we do this? Can we do that? So it was kind of like discrimination, in my opinion, on women that were born women. And I feel like it's a bit of more of a competition now, and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a competition. Everyone stay in their lane. If you want to be whatever you want to be, that's fine. Please do not expose the children to it. If you want to expose your child to it in your personal time, that is fine. Do not bring it to the schools. It is not okay. Did I sign something saying it was okay? Like, there's just a lot that goes with this. And it just gets deeper and deeper. But like I said, it's a hard topic to talk about just because there are so many people that as soon as you go against, or it sounds like you're going against, something that was said by a, trans woman, or however they want to identify themselves as, if you slightly go against or have an opinion that's not, backing them up, it's kind of oh, so you don't like this, or oh, so you don't like that. And it's kind of like, stay in your lane,
Yeah.
because I'm still entitled to my opinion as a woman. I feel like now it's, are we becoming the minority because we can't speak on anything? You're trying to take away everything. And then I guess this trans person was talking about like you can't keep periods. And I was very confused on that. Like now you have an issue with us because we get periods, like a menstrual cycle every month. Now there's an issue with that as well. So it's like, well, then that's discrimination to me, because now you're discriminating on everything possible about us and trying to change our names, trying to change everything about us. It's just a hard topic to touch on, Sean. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a lot. I'm trying to like word it. That's why I'm stumbling over my words. And seeing how you said it's going to be on Facebook, I know we're going to get a lot of backlash for just kind of keeping it real.
Mhm. Yeah, I think when it comes to that particular topic, it's very strange. I wouldn't say strange, but it's very difficult to like discuss because like there's a lot of, I'm going to say, objection to it. But I think when you tiptoe around, I'm not saying you tiptoe personally, but when you tiptoe around that type of subject, the only thing to actually look at and determine is truth. Unfortunately, that's how I see it. Like if you just sit there and just be honest about certain things, like I'm not saying they're delusional, but my thing that I don't like is how like it seems like they get discriminated against supposedly, but yet once women basically say they're being like discriminated against, it's like, oh my God, like you guys are so wrong, you guys are being biased, and that does become an issue, um, like down the road. And that's where I think the disconnect is. Like, I just don't want to say I'm quite sure if I'm not speaking for women, but I think most women, they rather not have a period or a menstrual cycle personally, like in my opinion. I mean, I don't really get
We'd be like, we be trying to act like, Lord, take it back.
yeah,
Take it
right,
back, Lord. Like we've been
right.
praying all these days, Lord, take it. But another thing I want to say is that also goes based off of that emotion. Like everything that people are identifying as, in my opinion, it's based off of how they feel. That is an emotion.
Yeah.
I feel like this, or I feel like I identify as this because I feel like this inside. And that goes back to that truth. What is the truth of the matter? Like, what were you born as? Was you born as a panda? Were you born as, a cat? Like, and if you change later on down the line, all I'm saying is give our kids a chance to just be themselves for a while before you start putting in, do you identify as this or as that? Just let them play. They don't even know skin color. They don't know racism. They don't know anything until we start installing these things in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Some people need to wake up, and this is the problem. Like, it's not this emotional, like women are emotional. So if we are able to see that there is some bullshit going on and we're emotional and we're able to channel this and say, hold on a second, something's not right. I'm confused as to why no one else can channel that and say, wait a second, something's not right about this. I mean, if you want to identify as a grown person or even as a teen or whatever it is, that is fine. When you start going into the elementary schools and doing that, that is not okay. And I will take any type of backlash for that. That is not okay when you start trying to brainwash the kids. And of course, they have imagination. So if they see you dressed like this, now they're like, oh, it's okay if I do this because Miss Such and Such or Mr. Such and Such does this. It's too much. You're already saying that we're cis women now. Yep. And now you're telling us our kids can, be cats and go to the bathroom in the kitty litter. It's just like, when does it, and I agree with Jess, like when does it become a mental illness? Because if it was someone else doing this, it would be a mental illness. Now it's accepted because you made all these laws. And I'm just really confused as to like, when does it become a mental illness?
My thing is, this conversation is just taking too long for the simple fact that it's just basic biology. You were born a man or you were born a woman. What they're trying to do, in my opinion, is trying to turn womanhood into more of a symbolic statement or representation then just breaking it down to its very simplicity. You're a woman. Biologically, you're a woman. The science has been around for I don't know how long that proves that you were born a woman. Whether you are able to have a menstrual cycle, whether you're able to reproduce or what have you. I was watching this dude that broke it down. It's like, yeah, you were born with the capacity or capability to do so, but something medically is preventing you from doing so. That doesn't make you less of a woman. You were born a woman. He was born a man. Let's take all the feelings out of it and just break it down to the actual factuals. You may feel like a woman, you may change your bodily appearance, and you may also want people to address you as a woman. That's fine. But then when you cross the line by saying you are in fact a woman and trying to bully foot the biological women out of the scene because they're not supporting that no more, come on, that is, I'm sorry, that is delusional. That is delusional thinking. And they have the ones I'm talking about, the ones that are fighting tooth and nail about this, they have pretty much detached themselves from reality. Because how can you, being born as a man, okay, now I feel like I'm a woman, and go toe to toe with the actual biological women? That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. And the fact that heads are accommodating to their feelings or enabling their feelings instead of having that harsh reality talk with them. Listen, this is what it is. And with some of them, there may be some form of mental illness with that as well. Because I'm sorry, you're born one or the other, male or female. What you choose to do with that afterwards, that's on you, but it's not going to change that fact. They're invading female sports and are dominating in female sports. How is that competitively fair? You may have grown some artificial parts, changed the way you speak, walk, this, that, and the other, but ultimately you are still a man playing and competing against women. Why not have their own league so we can see how they get down? Have a transgender league, boom, boom, boom. They got a WNBA women's league. Why not have a transgender league or what have you? If you want to be accepted for who and what you are, then instead of being hostile with those that don't agree with you, invite them to have an open and honest conversation, an uncomfortable conversation. But it's easier to say this person is homophobic. It's easier to say this person is kind of bigotry. It's easier to try to get this person, quote unquote, canceled because you're not dealing with the real issue at hand, which is your view of yourself and you needing or wanting the need for somebody to accept it as fact, when indeed it is not fact. Say what you want to me, hashtag cancel Rick, whatever, whatever, whatever. Hey, listen, that's how I feel. And I'm speaking on facts. If speaking on facts is offensive, then I don't know what else to say then. Yeah. I'm not living that delusion.
As I said, these days, as you can tell from everything that's going on, like truth necessarily doesn't matter anymore. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like it sucks, but like it's more feeling pretty much. Like feeling is more acceptable than the actual truth. And I think that's definitely what the disconnect is. Like you already know, like even we grew up basically like, you know, your parents telling you that you need to tell the truth. You need to be honest. Not so much anymore. Like, oh, it's basically how he feels. Let's just, you know, let him do what he needs or what he wants to do. Like, I mean, come on. Like, if people are like Amelia said, if people are going to school acting like a fucking cat to put a kitty litter, I mean, come on. Like that, if that's not an issue right there, then I don't know what is, to be honest with you. And that is ridiculous. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, I mean, come on.
And she hit the nail on the head. What happened to just letting kids be kids?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that? Let kids be kids. We're there to guide them, but eventually they got to figure it out. But in the meantime, in between time, just let them be kids. Don't use them as some kind of political crutch or political device. Let them be kids. The other day, I noticed out front, there were kids playing outside. I'm like, yo, I haven't seen that in a minute.
Dude, hell.
Let kids be kids, yo.
Yeah, and the problem, yeah, and I think, like you said, kids, let kids be kids, but also just having that sexual element inside of school is absurd. Like, it shouldn't be, in my opinion, it just shouldn't be any type of sexuality, especially at that young age. Anyways, like, whatever happened to just playing with blocks and Lincoln logs and shit and Legos at school, like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I just think, like, I mean, things need to change, which, I mean, I don't know how they will, but I mean, I think something really catastrophic may happen before that anything else happens, in my opinion.
I just to touch on that real quick before we hop to the next topic. I just believe that it's definitely an agenda because the sooner that they can, expose them to it, the faster they can normalize. So that's the reason why they're exposing the children at such a young age. So that way it can be normalized, and then they'll be able to normalize it, younger and younger.
Changing up societal standards and societal expectations so that they can cement their agenda in the future generation.
Well, I totally agree with that. All right, and the other topic I want to, like, go over is I think, yeah, we all have children. Um, what is your opinion about how we should, when your kids turn 18 years old, they should be basically kicked out the house? Now, I know, I mean, I have experience with this. I mean, when I turned 18, I got put out, like, right straight like that. Straight like that, with no backup plan and nothing like that. I know they had people in general, like, your kids should stay till whenever, whatever time presents itself. And it's like, all right. And I understand, like, you should get your kids prepared, but I think a lot of, my opinion, a lot of, like, parents that are not necessarily in poverty, but a lot of parents who just don't want to deal with their kids shit, just want them to go, just to avoid them. Like, listen, I paid for my kids, that's it. I'm not dealing with them no more.
Get to see my belly.
What is your guys' take on that whole thing?
My thing is this: there's an old school saying that goes, "What you eat don't make my shit stink." If this is how you plan to run your household and this is how you plan to do with what you want with your kids, so be it. I mean, I have a different take, and there's no exact manual on parenting because at the end of the day, we all just making it up as we go along. Um, I miss my son living here, and he's 22, but he was ready to be independent. And if that's a path that you choose, that by 18 you want to be, I need you out the house, then you need to also ensure that you're giving them the tools that they need to be independent so that by 19 they're coming right back to the house or getting themselves involved in things that they shouldn't just to make ends meet. You got to make sure you get them ready to go out there and show them all the ills and woes of the world. If not, then what's the sense of even sending them out there? You're just trying to get somebody out the house instead of doing it for their betterment.
How about you, Amelia? What you think about that?
I feel like I agree with Rick 100% regarding, like, them having the tools. Before you kick your child out, you need to realize that you're their parent all the way up until they pass away, you pass away. Like, you never stop being a parent, they never stop being your child. It doesn't matter their age. So I honestly feel that if you do want your child out at 18, you need to make sure that they have the tools. Like Rick said, you need to make sure that they have everything. That they need to be able to know how to handle finances. They need to know what their backup plan is going to be if college doesn't work, or this job doesn't work. You need to make sure that they are aware of, things don't go the way that you always plan. So make sure that you know exactly what it is that you're doing. I personally don't agree with just kicking your child out when they're 18. I think that you should make sure that they're on their feet, and you should let them, save their money, make sure they're not, spending it recklessly. Like, you need to make sure their savings is good, and just kind of make sure they're good before you kick them out. Because once you kick them out, for me, I don't know about anyone else, but for me, if if something happened to my child or they failed and it's kind of like they crashed, excuse me. It's like, mom, this happened to me. Yeah, that can be a lesson learned, but it's like, well, did you teach them before they stepped out the house? Did you do your parently duties before they stepped out this house? Because how they are in the world, that also depends on how you raise them as well. So I mean, they can do extra stuff that you didn't teach them, and go out and I didn't teach my child that, but there's some things, if you install those things in your child, they will be able to survive. So as far as like the poverty and I'm kicking you out because I just don't have the food to feed you, or whatever the reason is, it's, to me, it wouldn't be a legitimate reason unless they're just like blatantly disrespecting you. And it's like, okay, you're not following, the basic rules, and you're being disrespectful, so you have to go. But other than that, I don't, to each his own. And in my opinion, if my child's not ready, then they're not ready. And I'm not going to push my child out of the nest. And I'm also not going to baby. I'm not going to baby you. You're going to get on your feet. You're going to do what you have to do. And I'm going to show you what you need to do. But I'm not just going to push you out there to the world, because it's a cold world.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think, and me personally, like from personal experience, again, I've dealt with that when I was younger. Like, I remember being put out and I didn't have a pot to piss it in a window to throw it out of, to be honest with you. But I mean, I got on my feet, I've been dealing with it. But it's like, when you put yourself as a parent, when you put yourself in those shoes, like you said, when I think the only way that, like you mentioned, that would pretty much like be a thing is if your children just don't really give a fuck, like they don't want to listen to anything you have to say. I'm talking like, okay, we asked you to come here, we asked you to clean up after yourself, I asked you to put a certain amount of money down on, on like some bills if we have them, if there's rules laid out. Because I remember my dad told me, like, when he separated from my mother years ago, he said when his my other half sister, he said when she was growing up, when she turned 18, what he did was he did ask for rent money, but um he basically was like, okay, I'm not going to spend it, I'm going to save it. He didn't tell her that, but that's kind of like what he did. And by the time she moved out, he gave the money that she basically gave him for rent. And I think that's a pretty neat idea when it comes to parenting. But these days, I know some parents, like you mentioned, like they like wait until their child turns 18 to be like, all right, you gotta go, like, I'm tired of taking care of you. I notice most of the parents that do that, they either have some sort of poverty issue or they just don't have no tolerance for kids. Like, I've seen, like, again, like, certain parents having kids just to be on welfare. When they turn 18, they can't afford it no more. Guess what? They gotta go. And it's like, damn, like, really? And when you have kids, you should know, like, obviously they don't come with a rule book. Like, they're there, they're gonna be there. But I think the thing that I notice a lot, some kids are just nothing but ignorant half the time. And sometimes you have to be like, you know what, I'm sorry, but you gotta leave. Like, I can't deal with it. Like, you already know, as you get older, you can't take certain things from certain people, especially when it comes to like your kids, especially when it comes to other people. Like, if they're just blatantly ignorant and blatantly just don't want to rock with you, don't want to fuck with you, then yeah, it's just time for you to go. Like, I'm sorry, like, if you going out there missing curfew, being adultish, then you can go and live your adult life on your own. Like, that's how I see it. Um, yeah, this is my opinion on it. So
I just want to add to that one last thing. That also, in my opinion, goes on the parenting.
mhm.
Because if you started them off when they were young, doing the correct things, there will be no reason that they would just randomly stop being disrespectful. Now, there can be sometimes when, something might make them have an outburst. But if you teach your child, listen, you need to clean up after yourself when they're young, and you make it a repetitive behavior, that's going to come second nature to them. If you say, listen, you need to put this money up because you want this game, or you want X, Y, and Z, that's teaching them how to save. So if you install these things in your children and you're doing what you need to do as a parent, then when they get older, you don't even have to think about, okay, they need to get out, because they'll already have the tools, already know, okay, well, now I just need to save, or now I just need to do this. And then when they move with someone, or if they have their own, now I know I just need to keep this clean. I need to pay these bills, and I need to do this because you already showed them these things. I feel like that's something that a lot of people just don't do. And I understand it doesn't come with a rule book, but if you just put yourself in your child's shoe for a second, because you were your child, you were your child, you were 18, you were kicked. I know I was kicked out at 18. What did you have to do to survive? What did you learn? So it's kind of like you're trying to give your kid 5 years of knowledge, or let them be ahead by 5 years or by 10 years or however many years. It's like, listen, I went through X, Y, and Z. This is what I had to do. So I know what I need to show you. This is what you have to do. It's plain and simple. Yes, it doesn't come with a rule book or a blueprint, but it actually does, because we are the blueprints. If we can just say, okay, let me take the positive from my situation and install this in my child. Yes, it was something negative that I went through, but I learned a lesson, which is positive. Anytime you learn from something that's positive, so why don't I just teach my child the lesson in it so they don't have to go through the negative experience?
That's a dope way of putting it. It's a really
Yes.
dope way of putting it. Yeah.
And my thing is too, I'm gonna share a proud father moment. My oldest son, like I said earlier, he graduated from college, got his degree. He's going back for a master's degree. When they called his name on the stage, I got teary-eyed, and my wife is up here recording me, because the time that I put in, the time that I invested in him, I'm seeing it pay off. He moved out, I think, before he hit 20. You know, he moved to his grandfather's house for a matter of convenience, with him getting back and forth to school. Plus, he wants to keep an eye on his grandfather. This dude went out and bought a car on his own. I was a silent enforcer to make sure, you know, everything was everything. So if you take your time to be real with your kids and let them know how things are, you know, you hope that what you're saying sticks. And I saw that it stuck, and I can't take all the credit, because his mother as well, you know, we was on somewhat united front with them. And now it's his younger brother's turn. And you know, teenagers are being teenagers. And my wife is checking me all the time when I get mad at how he acts. She's like, you know, he acts just like you. And then I'm like, yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of patience. There's a lot of making stuff up on the fly. And, you know, you just hope and have that faith that they're going to come out and do all right. But if they out there always thugging it and bugging and always getting locked up, this, that, and the other, like, dog, when you hit 18, you're out, yo, because I tried. But for whatever reason, you chose to act and live this way, not around me. And especially if they got little ones as well, nah, because now you're being a bad influence to your brothers and sisters. You got to go, B.
Yeah.
You know, I tried my best. We tried doing this, that, and the other. You chose the thug life. Now you got to go and live that thug life. I'm gonna still be there for you. You give me a call or whatever, I'm still be there for you, but I'm not gonna enable these behaviors. Yo, you gotta handle that on your own. So you gotta learn the hard way, in other words. But yeah, I mean, I don't see that there should be some kind of expiration date or a date that you got to get your kid out the house. If you choose to have the kid in the house, like, yo, listen, you know, I wouldn't even, me personally, I wouldn't even charge rent. I would be like, you know, just every once in a while, you know, help out around the crib, take out the garbage or bust the suds real quick or whatever. And then the rest is yours. So keep your room neat. Or if you're going to have company over, clear it with me first. And you have to have a job. You ain't just going to be sitting on your ass. You have to have a job. And whatever money you do get, that's on you. As long as you ain't doing nothing illegal with the loot, you know, you waste your money, that's on you. You got to learn how to save it. You know, you learn how to save it. Okay, what you gonna do now that you've saved this money? You know, it continues to be a parenting and educational process. And one thing I told my second oldest, I'm like, I don't care if I'm even 80 years old, God, hoping I make it. I'll always be your father and you'll always be my son. You know, I'll still treat you with the respect as an adult, but, you know, breaking it down to the basics, it is what it is.
That was definitely like a lot, but yeah,
That was good.
it was dope. Yeah, it was really dope. Like, when it's all said and done, we're all parents, and like I said, there's always room for improvement. But fact, that's my son there. At the same time, it's like, all right, yeah, like I said, I'm really glad that we're able to not necessarily debate but talk about those things, because I know, like, especially within like us brown folks, you know, it's a very difficult subject to discuss when it comes to that. Like I always hear parents, oh, when they're 18, they're gonna leave. And it's like, all right, maybe you need to rethink this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely could sympathize. You know what I'm
Here's
saying?
a question
Yeah.
with that, right? Along those lines of thinking, do you think you hear something like that more when it's a single mother household versus both parents being present and active?
Yes. I'm no, not even a question. Like I've seen it, and I was part of that equation. But I also think when it comes to both parents, like I noticed, I would say dads and parents, they would sit down and they would basically kind of like give them the tools of the trade before they decide to, you know, fly the coop pretty much, before they decide to leave. Whereas like a single parent, not saying only mothers, but like even single parents themselves, they basically like, all right, you know what? You know, I wouldn't say, it just seems like it's like almost as if they're like it's like a disadvantage when it comes to them and basically having children. And it's like, oh, we couldn't wait. That's a problem.
What do you think, Amelia? Do you think you were more likely to hear something like that coming from a single mother household, or would you think that you would hear that from a household where both parents are involved, not necessarily the father being at home, but at least being involved?
Sorry, you guys were a little glitchy. It's probably my end. So regarding that, I would say single parent, because I've seen single fathers as well that had custody of their children. I think that from what I've witnessed, a lot of single parents already feel like they have a lot of weight on their shoulders. So once you turn a certain age, they kind of feel like that's their ticket to some type of freedom. Um, and I do feel like if when it's a two-parent household, it's a lot more balanced. It's a lot more balanced, or either if the father is involved, or even if you have another spouse, whether it be same gender, not gender, but just that balance where it's like, okay, you get to take a break, I'll hold it down. Okay, now you get, you know, good cop, bad cop, however we have to do this, let's come together. So there's that little break sometimes. So I feel like when it's a single parent, they feel like they're not getting that break. And there are a lot of single parents that don't have that mother to help them, or that, you know, big mom to help them, because the grandmothers, they want to live their life now. They're younger and younger, and a lot of their relationships are already tainted. So they feel like they don't have that. And it's like, I need to break free. And a lot of the single mothers did have their children at a young age. So they didn't get a chance to live that life. So as soon as that child turns 18, a lot of times, like, I want to break free.
Yep.
And even if the child isn't disrespectful, I've seen parents just, oh, as soon as you turn 18, I'm kicked. Like, well, why are you putting that in your child's head? Like, now they have to worry about, okay, I'm walking on eggshells and I need to get my stuff together, because as soon as I turn this age, she's already installing this in my head, or he's already installing this in my head. Um, but yeah, I do feel like the single parent households feel like they need a break, and they feel like as soon as you turn this age, that's my break.
That is a dope take on it. I honestly wouldn't have looked at it like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, and them not being able to express it properly, but yeah, I need a break from you. I had you for 18 years, nigga. I'm trying to get back to slaves. That's a dope take, though. I like that take. That was
They
dope.
trying to get some of that chicken. They
Yeah,
trying to
right.
They're trying to get to the carver.
Prince Hall or
His
Biff.
baby mama not at the carver.
Right.
That was a dope take, though. That was dope, y'all.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
not have thought about looking at it in that angle. Yeah, that was dope.
Mhm. Yeah. Let's see how much time we got. Oh, we got a few minutes. We're gonna be a little off the topic, change the subject about, like, you know, about this, but we were also discussing that whole Cardi B the mic throwing incident. Yeah.
I don't know anything about this. Wait a second. I got fill me in.
So I'll fill you in. So what happened was she was performing. I'm not sure where she was performing pretty much. And
I think in Vegas.
Yeah, it was in Vegas. And what happened was she had asked somebody to like spray water on her. Now this was actually on the other side of the stage. So they were throwing water on her, and she bent over and asked her to somebody throw water on her coochie. So this would happen. So then I guess a few minutes after, when that stopped, she went on the other side, and somebody threw water at her, and she was pissed off and threw the mic at the chick, and she like lost it. And basically I'm hearing that I guess like the guy, whoever she threw it at, is trying to sue her or something like that. Like it's insane. And
She didn't hit the person that threw the water. She hit the person next to her. That's what they're saying.
yeah, and it's like, what's wrong with you, lady? Like, I don't know what to say. I'm like, what is your deal? And I notice there's been a lot of like issues been going on with these musicians getting shit thrown at them anyway. So like, I have no issue. I have no clue what's going on with these people. Like, it's just weird to me.
I mean, she asked for it though. I mean, once you say do this, do that, or do the other, you open that door to Pandora's box. Before I was on her side when it was like, a fan throws water at Cardi B throws mic at fan. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that fan was out of line. But like you said, as the story further developed, there's video of her saying, throw water on me, throw water on the nah, and all that. And I guess the fan got the memo late and threw it, because they also said there's video of the fan trying to apologize. But Cardi still flipped the mic at her. And again, there's reports of she hit the wrong person and that person's trying to sue her. So you open the door just by saying that. It doesn't matter where I've seen debates where, well, that was a half hour ago, so she should have known better. I'm like, nah, you opened the door for that just by saying, throw this at me. So that's on her for doing that.
These musicians are kind of retarded in a sense. So I'll say this: they're remedial. Let me not offend anybody. I'll say that because I just don't know. Like I kind of given up on that whole like.
That's like saying,
yeah,
you are the artist, right? And you're trying to do a mosh pit, and you get mad at heads if they don't want to catch your big ass. Now you're mad at them. Yeah. But nobody said that we agreed to you throwing your big ass on me for me to catch you. Mm-hmm. Or you're mad that not enough people caught you or whatever. It's like, yo, you opened that door. So that's on you. You automatically made yourself liable by saying, do this to me. You didn't put no time limit, and even there was a time limit on it. It's just common sense. You don't do that because you're saying and expect, and they said that she handed out water bottles or whatever, but still, you don't know what them heads are throwing back at you. You put yourself out there, so you get what you ask for. Don't get mad when you get what you ask for.
All facts, all facts. And what about the whole Lizzo incident? Did you guys hear about what was going on with her? Oh man, like I'm confused about this. Like, so I want to get this, see if I have this correct. So she fired her dancers because they were overweight. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what it is? Or I'm kind of confused about that because yeah, was that what it was? Like
it's like dancers that were no longer under her employ are coming out saying that she was sexually abusive or committed some kind of act of sexual assault, verbally abusive, doing some weight shaming, some racial slurs or what have you. So now they're suing her because of that. And my thing is this, just like with Jonathan Majors and all of that, let's wait until everything come out, because heads are talking about she's a hypocrite, she yada, 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 this, that, and the other. And all of these people are saying the same thing, so it must be true. And I'm like, okay, but the burden of proof is on them, though.
Right.
Let's just wait until this all plays out before we say this, that, or the other for her. And I'm not a fan of hers, but I respect her because she's comfortable with the skin that she's in. And I got to think for big women. But it's crazy how heads are quick to jump to judgment without knowing what all the particulars are, but then get mad when it's done to us as a community regarding police brutality. Well, he wasn't obeying commands, or what led up to that, or I want to see the rest of the video. It's like, yo, for real. So it's I don't know. I mean, it's, to me, just like with MJ, it could be a situation where heads are trying to get a come up because things didn't work out. Because with MJ, and even to this day, people are still claiming that he's a pedophile, but the FBI had him on the investigation. They found no inappropriate behaviors. One of the kids that was trying to get that side also admitted after MJ passed that his pops put him up to it for a money grab. So, you know, let's wait and see what kind of proof that can be had before we talk about, you know, F her or cancel her or whatever. Let's sit back and wait.
I agree. The thing that I have with that is, I mean, if I see like this, I see if there's like a bunch of people that are coming with them coming to them, you know, for the same exact issue. It sounds like it's a little planned, but like it's like, what if, you know what I'm saying, that it was true? I just think she would become a huge hypocrite when it comes to like those things. And that's always been like a pet peeve of mine when it comes to people like that. Like, you could sit there and preach how you want to be, you know, like freeing when it comes to like, you know, showing off your body, but yet at the same time, you telling your dancers like, nah. And I'm hearing also that she was like you said, sexually assaulting like chicks with bananas and all that shit. Like,
Banana in the tailpipe.
yeah, right. And I'm like, huh? And it's like, all right, like,
Here's my thing though, right? If all of this is true, this, that, and the other, why aren't you asking for charges to be pressed instead of just going straight for the lawsuit?
facts.
That's
Right.
all I'm saying. Don't you want justice to be served, or you trying to get a quick payola right quick? That's my question. I'm not saying blah 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 yada yada yada, because you know I still feel the same thing about the Bill Cosby incident. You know, I honestly believe he didn't rape them, but I do believe he had relations with them. And the type of things he was using, quaaludes, back then, that was the drug of choice, if you will, for heads to get high off of, next to weed. And I think that I don't even think cocaine was that popular back then versus what he was using. But now all of a sudden they're talking about, yeah, he did this, that, and the other, like 30 or 40 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to believe that. And what makes it even worse is that now the people that have actual claims, is they're going to fall under unwanted scrutiny because people before them are trying to get a quick payout. And this is one of the best ways to get a quick payout. You don't need, it seems, you don't need any kind of evidence or whatever. You just need to go about the accusation. And then you hope that heads want to settle out of court. That's what happened with MJ. With the first accusation, he settled out of court for the simple fact that if he kept going back and forth to court, it will cost him mad money. He regret making that decision because he's like, I should have just did that. But, you know, the lawyers are like, you're going to burn a lot of money. Just settle out of court so we can move on because you got this tour coming up or you got this album coming up. So my thing is, if you just going straight for a lawsuit, straight up off the bat, instead of you trying to get charges pressed, to me, that's kind of suspect. I'm sorry.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree. All right. So yeah, we are gonna end on that note. I do thank you guys for actually, like, you know, being on board with this. Mimi, you have a pretty unique take on things. I honestly think you have like a shot at being some sort of therapist.
Baby girl, I got issues too. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and I'm tired of paying for my issues. Can you help me? Can we talk?
for real.
Listen, I've been doing some shadow work. Oh, I can't see it, but this book right here, there's a shadow work book. There's a lot of things that to like help me to help others. But I mean, I've heard it before, but I'm like, let me get myself together. Just because I'm giving this advice, sometimes I got to give myself the advice. Sometimes I got to check myself. And yeah, we all kind of have different perspectives, but that's what makes the whole thing unique.
Exactly. Exactly. I think if everybody had the same like take on things, I think it would be kind of dull in a sense. But I'm pretty glad like we have this formula that could kind of mesh well with us. So it's pretty cool. I hope we keep this train going. So yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
And like I said before too, the view on the single parent wanting it to be me time or whatever, honestly, that blew me away because I really never looked at it like that. So that's the importance of having different views on a particular topic.
All facts.
And I also, before you go, I'm just thinking that people need to get smart like Plies. Plies, the rapper, makes people sign a consent form before he does any type of sexual anything with them. They have to sign a notarized consent form. I'm confused why other people aren't doing that. Just because people know as soon as you get some money, somebody's going to say something, everybody's going to jump on board. I'm not saying that there's not victims out there, but why not just get a consent form? Why not just get this notarized real quick? You trying to get this, then you need to sign this.
Facts. People.
Prophet Dave Chappelle predicted that.
Yep.
If you're a fan of the Chappelle show,
sure
Prophet
did.
Dave Chappelle predicted that.
He sure did. He had the contract right next to his bed.
You gonna sign off on anal? Just initial right here for anal. No? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's how it has
like
to be. That's how it has to be nowadays.
Fortunately, because you got to be careful with everything when it comes to that. So
I don't understand. If this is your money, you're trying to protect your money, you know you worked hard for this, and you know that you're making a lot of money, of course you're a target. So therefore, what you're gonna do to protect yourself and your money? Like, just it takes a couple of seconds. And if you don't want to sign this, there's somebody else that assigned it. Like, so I don't know. Some of this might be true because I'll be like, listen, I got a whole stack of contracts. I got a printer right there, sign an initial, and we're gonna get this notarized right here.
Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. It didn't work that way.
What they do in John Wick, they had the blood oath. They had the.
It doesn't work that way because Scottie Pippen's ex-wife, she's looking at getting his retirement fund, even though they had a prenup.
See, she's looking at it. So he has a shot of like, okay, well, we got a prenup. He doesn't have a shot.
They're talking about if he doesn't pay X amount of money within this time frame, she's gonna get all of that. At least
to me, that's some type of connection. To me, that's some type of connections. Because why does prenups work for everybody else? I want to know, like, who she know, who you know, girl. Because
right,
I need to be put on with something. They got connections with some other stuff. That's a connection right there. I don't understand that. All of a sudden, the law switched for this person. I don't get it.
The skin you're in.
This is true.
Right. So yeah.
We should save that for another topic, though. Another discussion, though. Word.
We will. But yeah, like I mentioned, I'm glad you guys are on this panel that we have, and again, I hope we keep this train going. And I thank you guys for actually being part of it. Hope to see you soon.
Blessings.
Yeah, blessings.
All right, y'all.
All right, peace.